Hello and welcome back everyone to Master Game Design, Unreal Engine 5 Stylized Environment and third-person blueprint course. In the last lesson we left ourselves up with a nice gray box, which is a bit more complicated than usually you would have a gray box set up as, but that's okay because it's going to be a nice reference point. And as I was saying previously in regards to the angles. So in order to get yourself a nice scene and whatnot, you need to make sure you look at different angles. You need to make sure you have the first main angle that you'd want your scene to be looked at, ideally from the best type of a perspective. So the player, for example, would enter from this section of the harbor, so it has to look the nicest from this angle and whatnot. And I'm just going to go ahead and set this up, and then afterwards we're going to go ahead and click Control and 1, and that's going to basically save out the position of our viewport. And then afterwards, when we move it outside of it, we can click 1, and that'll bring it to this type of a viewport. So what I like to do is simply get ourselves the first angle as a main shot, so this one over here, that's going to be quite all right. Then the second angle can be just a bit from a top-down view, like so. Just an overview of the setup. And that's also going to help us to get like a nice way of breaking up the points. And maybe from the side a little bit as well. I'm not really interested about going from this angle too much, but even from this angle, you can see like a nice type of way of breaking up the silhouette and whatnot. And that's quite all right. And yeah, I think we're just going to keep with two angles like so, and that's going to be quite all right for the sake of this setup. So going into the overall design of the gray box, first things first, you can see that some of them have like certain artifacts and whatnot. The reason being is that Blender uses double shader by default, and this one uses one shader. That means that all the faces are actually, as you can see over here, facing inwards, and it's not really too much of a matter. Just for this type of a gray box, as it still gives us the overall idea of the edges and whatnot, but it can be a little bit broken. It can have certain artifacts. That's totally okay. That's totally fine. We're going to now talk about a little bit in regards to breaking up this city and how it was made. So first things first, as I was saying previously, this overall setup has a nice way of breaking up the silhouette. So even if it was in complete black, you'd still have nice roofs and whatnot that have a partial circular, some of them pointing upwards a little bit, and some of them are round as well. And in regards to the city itself, this kind of a silhouette helps to break up certain shapes and whatnot. And if we were to look from the top-down view, I'm just going to go ahead and do this. We can talk a little bit, or actually I will make use out of the references that we had over here. So I'm going to go ahead and just talk a little bit in regards to this finished build. That's going to be a little bit better. There you go. So in regards to this build, basically we need to always consider the city composition and how the player or the level will interact with the overall scene. And yeah, we're going to basically start our player over here on the bottom of the map. Then we're going to make sure that we have some interactable in this section over here. And we'll then make sure to have a certain locked door over underneath over here, so the player would be able to pass through this section. That means that the other areas should not realistically allow you to enter this area over here. So this needs to be cut off, for example, like so, or maybe over here. And this area over here needs to also be cut off, so the player basically doesn't get the ability to pass through this entire section. And this kind of a mentality needs to be worked as you're able to just implement it afterwards. You set up your city, and maybe you're able to like add maybe like an extra building, as you can see over here, and just help it to kind of block off the path. Maybe a couple of extra props over here or something of the sort. And you can see over here there's certain props that doesn't allow you to just leave the city as you please. So these kind of things you consider afterwards, after you design the city itself. But it's quite the crucial part to the overall design of the environment for video games. Then the next thing that you need to consider is going to be the overall aesthetics of a of a scene. So since this is more like an Egyptian type of a harbor, we already got like some nicer rounded roofs over here. As you can see, some bit of tents over here and whatnot, and it just has like a nice color palette of red and blue mainly. So the blue, as you can see, the blue is only mainly sectioned over here on the side. There is not much blue over on this area, and the reason being is that when using colors, you also need to consider how those colors were used in the sense of the environment. So blue is considered to be a more luxurious type of a color, and we have assets I'll show you later that has more bluish color. I'll be using them mainly for more luxurious areas, and then this part over on the top is more of a slum area, so it has less color and whatnot. I still wanted to kind of break it up with the color a little bit, so I used certain as you can see, like over here, like red tents and whatnot, so that helps us out a little bit with in regards to that. And one more thing that I should also mention is in regards to the city setup. So you can either have like a very wide and luxurious type of a look, so like wide streets and whatnot. Maybe this area over here actually works out with in regards to that. In regards to that open and wide area, like a square type of a look. But you can see also over here, we have those closed off, narrow type of alleyways that is very, very nice looking to the setup of an Egyptian city. And these kind of alleyways are going to be crucial for our design. So the way we're going to do it is we're just going to make sure that we have those kind of more narrowed down areas with in regards to the building and whatnot. Those kind of sections are going to look quite a bit closer, basically, for the player. We still need to make sure that the player is able to like pass through and whatnot through those sections. But yeah, this overall type of a gray box is not going to be the exact replica of what we're going to make. When we're making a gray box, it has to be just overall main shapes and whatnot, blocked out basically. So when we're going to be building out our own sections, we're just going to be using Egyptian Harbor Pack, meshes folder like so, and we're going to be going through all of them, which we're going to go in a bit, to set up the main shapes and whatnot, and then add them onto this section. And one more final thing that I'd like to mention is going to be level setup. But since we're running out of time, I think we're going to leave it as this. We also need to still fix these waves over here. Luckily, it's quite an easy process with this type of a water shader. So we're going to learn how to do that in a bit. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll be seeing you in a bit.